When you're moving slow, it feels like more, 'cause it's alright, whoa, it's alright. Someday we'll find.
Alright, so back to this whole video now. So what would you say, like, thinking before stuff, any particular stories that you want to tell from your times that stand out?
I mean, I just remember hearing, early on some of y'all's recordings and thinking like, okay, like this is really high level arranging. Like from the top, the production was really great too. And I was like, it was always confusing to me if I heard about a group that was like doing well that it wasn't on my radar, Especially in Minnesota, I'm like, how did I miss these guys? Like we were like coming up at the same time. And so then to get the product and it be so good. And then when I came out and started doing shows with you guys, just like how polished the show was, how funny it was. And I just remember thinking like, okay, this is a different level even than I was expecting. Like I was really impressed with all y'all's showmanship right away.
And I think that comes through even on the live CD we made.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree, man. Because that was the first thing I heard was that CD,
yeah.
And I was like,
It's
damn,
fun.
Yeah.
these guys are killing it.
Yeah.
And I knew about acapella, relatively speaking, at the moment. I'm like, I wasn't near, like Tim was definitely like way more entrenched in the community than I was. But for someone who consumed a lot of acapella music, that CD impressed the hell out of me. It's like, wow, these guys are great. I really want to sing it.
Yeah. And then the Christmas stuff too was like a whole other level.
Blended
I was just like impressed with your arranging right away.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even that live CD, it was edited somewhat, but not that much. It's still a live album, and it turned out great. Yeah, we always felt that no one knew who the heck we were in the acapella world, those early years and stuff.
They didn't.
Yeah,
they didn't.
But you guys weathered that sort of like oversaturation that happened, like particularly in the Midwest, like the Blenders and Tonic Sulfide kind of like birthed this like acapella boom. And all of a sudden there were groups everywhere. And then they started dropping like flies, and you guys just kind of like rode it out until you were the premier group left.
Most important thing, you just kept going.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, we just kept going. We just didn't stop, and that's one of the things that
because it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Those shows, man. There's something like I love what we do now, but those shows were just so much fun and breaking everything down and doing it all together and getting in the van and driving together and me sleeping in the back of the van every morning because I was sleeping in. I had a damn good time doing that, man. I think about it a lot and just how authentic it was. Like just driving around a bunch of dudes and going out and drinking most of the nights with whoever was at the show and just hanging, having a good time. It
paid our dues, earned the stripes.
Yeah, man. It's not like we just like burst into success, I think Tim says it all the time. It takes how many years to make an overnight success?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's one reason we were successful after the sing-off was we hit the ground running.
Right, because
exactly
because you guys had already built a touring base. So it wasn't like you had to start fresh after the show.
And we had a show already. It was there.
Right. That was the
fun,
thing. And it was a good show. It had a flow. It had ups and downs. It wasn't just a bunch of songs put together. Like there was an A to a B, and there were moments that were created. That was my favorite thing about your guys' show on the ship was that it was like cohesive. It went somewhere, and I don't know why it worked so well, but it did.
Well, and we had a leg up on the competition too on the sing-off because we were an established group. We had it down to a science already, whereas half of those groups were put together for the show. So they were still like figuring out their interpersonal dynamics and just how to arrange and
every week you and I would split it up. Like one of us would do the battle song, one would do the original song, and we'd have it out the next day.
Pretty early on each week, they would tell you, theoretically, if you're still here next week, here's what we might want you to sing. And here's what your battle song might be. And we would have it arranged the next day. So we were working on next week's material while we were competing.
Yeah. Except colder weather, because they surprised us with that one.
Right. But we would take turns and be like, well, you want to take the battle song this week? I'll take the performance song, and then we'd switch. And the night before taping, we were asleep at like 9 p.m. Remember that?
Yeah.
And some of those poor kids would stay up all night long and not sleep the night before a competition, and they'd have the producers breathing down their neck, like, no, I don't like how you're doing it.
Yeah,
they'd be changing,
would be there watching and be like, no, this isn't
tweaking their arrangement
no,
like hours before the taping, and we never had to deal with that, really.
No, not at all. We really didn't, because we were prepared. That was the luxury. That was the saving grace, really. I still lost my voice.
Yeah.
But but we were actually able to sleep every night to a degree. A good 6 hours.
It's still brutal. But
Compared to we say it all the time. I had the best time of my life. I'm so glad that we did it, but I would never do reality TV ever again because of that experience. Like it was so worth it, but I will never do it again.
Between that and Big Time RV, I don't know what to believe anymore.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, Big Time RV. You can't find that anymore. I tried to look for it the other day. You can't find it.
I finally found it because I never watched it. I watched it for the first time last year.
Found it too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll see if I can find that link that I found it on. One story just popped into my head because you guys have a great sense of humor, but there was also like a little bit of a timidness, like on audience interaction, and it was like played it sort of safe.
Sure, yeah.
Wasn't ever, like I have a playfully abusive relationship with my audience, and that was not the home free model when I first came in. And I remember I had. It was like one of those times where we hadn't done a show in a while, and I'd gone back out to Southern California, and I was doing a lot of Alley Cat shows, and there's like no rules at an Alley Cat show, and I came from that to a home free show, and we did our first song, and we got done, and I was like, how you guys doing? And some guy from the audience yells, "It's too loud," and I just said, "You're too old."
And Rob and I were on stage standing beside each other, and we were both like.
Yeah. And I hear the oxygen leave the stage. I hear gasps from you guys. I look over and Rob's just staring at his shoes.
Yeah, and we're both like, I'm like.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is a home free show. I just insulted an audience member immediately, and it turned out it was like a booking agent.
No, it was the guy who paid for the show.
But, now that's just how it is. Now, if there's like a heckler, they're like, go get him.
Like you can have it.
Yeah.
The stuff we did in the show, and it's how good you were at making it work. I was thinking about the Guilty Pleasures bit, and how we milked that for years, and just how it brought the house down every time.
Yeah.
And the two things, and Austin interrupting every song.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to the Alley Cats for giving me that level of fearlessness to improv on stage, and to take chances and be willing to for some things to maybe fall flat, but when you find like a little nugget like that, and it becomes like a recurring joke in the show, and
It's fun too, like that sort of thing when the audience, the hardcores that were at every show, they know every hit that's coming, and they still are laughing uproariously at it because it's still so funny.
Yeah, it's weird when it's like, that was the first time I'd experienced, catchphrases accidentally becoming a thing where audience members just yell out stuff, Two things, let Austin rap,
Which I hated at first. Stop yelling at us! Damn it, we're trying to be funny and you're taking our punchline!
Yeah, weird.
If we ever do another home free Patreon show, let's do the Guilty Pleasures bit again.
Let's
see if we can
that'll happen.
See if we can bring her how it goes again.
Yeah.
Because we did the songs didn't make the cut the last one.
Yeah. But still, occasionally get someone who, in a VIP session or something, they'll be like, you guys ever gonna bring back Guilty Pleasures?
No.
Not on stage,
No.
but maybe for a Patreon party.
Yeah, that's the kind of place where we would do it. For sure.
What about you? Any other stories that pop in your head from that
funny.
First year?
I was definitely going to tell the one about Tim that he just told. So, because that was stuck. Because I was like, oh shit. Because that wasn't the only time that happened,
There's so many stories I can't tell. At the 40-year retrospective, I'm going to tell all the stories, and I don't care who hears it.
Oh, yeah, I'll support that.
All the best stories are... Yeah.
We'll tell the story then about you and Rob after my first tour with you guys. Whenever I left you guys and what happened then. Just book
the
it.
RV one?
Yeah, that's the RV one. Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell the extended Kearney, Nebraska song.
Here we go. Yeah, all of that.
Speaking of Kearney, Nebraska, Rob and I were joking about the get off the stage thing. We talked about that memory.
Another one that I love that story so much. I wasn't there for it, but I feel like I was because I've laughed so hard at that story so many times.
That night in the van, Rob was laughing so hard he fell out of his captain's chair onto the floor.
I've never heard, I wasn't there for this, but the lady who was running to the front of the stage, and God Bless the USA, and face slam, the whole show ended middle of the song.
Yeah, we had to stop because
that's hilarious.
She broke her arm.
Whoa, terrible.
She could have killed herself by falling into the stage.
Yeah, but unfortunately she didn't. But man, or just like all of the inside jokes, or just like how if someone tells a joke and it doesn't go well, and Rob just loves it, and so therefore I love it. The best thing is when you get Rob laughing on stage, like really laughing, because somebody's messing up. You know,
we would just do like what we're thinking, and if a joke bombed, it didn't nail, and Rob would just love how
laughing.
awkward it was.
I mean, I don't know if this will make it, but we might as well talk about the only time in the history of my career, probably Home Freeze, that we, other than when the lady slid under the stage, but when we just stopped the song halfway through, and that's just how it ended. And I mean, it was good.
I told the story. You can tell
Okay,
it
good. If it's already been told, that's all that
Okay,
matters.
yeah.
But you know, like I also learned the hard way. You know, it's like if you start getting the giggles, like suppressed laughter is the worst. You know, we've all experienced that in church. It's just like snowballs. But you know, I just remember like being on the verge of losing it. I'm like, don't look at him. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. And I looked over. And like, yeah, you see Rob's shoulders going. But the worst was I looked over and Bastine is bent over, you know, hands on his knees with the microphone. Like he's not even attempting anymore. And it's during It's Alright. So eventually it's just Chris singing solo a cappella with four other dudes just laughing. And I remember you going, someday I'll find me a woman. Really, guys? And that's how the song ended.
Yes.
And we didn't bother explaining it to the audience. Now, granted, the audience was 100 yards away on the other side of a pond, half
There's
paying
15
attention.
people out there, so it doesn't matter.
But that was just like, yeah, that was definitely something that I'd never experienced up to that point, and thankfully never again.
Oh my God.
But
Definitely one of them.
what do you got? You got any stories?
Oh, I mean, I've kind of told them in the other sessions.
Yeah.
I guess there's so many, and it's hard to remember them all. We talked about how the worst time where we almost quit after that night of everything went wrong before your time, but you probably heard about.
I've seen the
story.
video.
Yeah, the video that Matt made.
And that's a good story. I think it's
Yeah.
an important one. You know, it's an important rite of passage for any artist. You know, it's not just for artists, but it's just you go through that moment where it just feels like it's all.
At some point, there's going to be
Where,
the bottom.
where you just want to quit.
Yeah.
And the only reason Home Free made it where we did is because y'all didn't quit in that moment when it was just artists.
Willpower to force through and just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of moments of that, and it's something what I tell people. Again, it's like the whole, we just lasted long enough. Those moments broke other groups, and we just kept doing it. And eventually, it started to finally snowball.
Yeah, it's just like one level up and then a big plateau. And then one level up and then a big plateau. But you keep going because it's fun.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, we love what we did, absolutely.
I mean, you know, one crazy story, of course, is when we got the call that Kenny Rogers wanted to collaborate with us.
Yeah.
You know, usually it was like us approaching
Please,
people
please
and
do something
often
with
getting
us.
no's. But it was like, we got the call that was like, hey, Kenny Rogers wants to work with you guys. But the reason that stands out in my mind so much is because we were in Hosanna Lutheran Church at the time, rehearsing the Butts medley. And we got that call. Yeah, we were singing about butts in a church. So
Yep.
it's a very memorable moment for me.
That's still one of my favorite projects we ever did. I love that.
No, that
And we ended
holds
up
up.
singing Country Girl Shake It For Me after all.
Right.
Yeah, we did.
At least we got to do it on our own terms.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because they wanted us to do it and act like we meant it. You know?
That's something else I appreciate about Home Free is like if anyone has a vision, you know, we're like, well, go and like make a demo or something.
Because
you know,
we didn't want to do that
Yeah.
until you made that demo.
Well, because
Yeah.
you came to a show, like, you guys, I got an idea. Like, what if we did a medley and it's all songs about butts? And we were like, I don't know, man. But then you went and like crafted a version of it with Lane, and we were
Which
like,
you should really release at some point too, because that
The
remix
original
is pretty
demo
cool.
thing?
That,
Oh, yeah,
that
I
demo's
can try to
pretty
find
cool.
it.
That demo's pretty cool.
Look for it. Yeah, I could.
But you know, it's cool. I've always appreciated that about this group. you know, everyone has the freedom to kind of explore these artistic expressions, and you know, everybody like adds to every arrangement no matter what. You know, like we rarely tell Adam what to do. It's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do.
Unless it's too far.
Yeah, you do whatever. You're maybe less animal noises, but other than that, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's really cool the way that works out.
Yeah, even some of the biggest moments in early Home Free are from Adam. You know, him creating the connection to the Allied tours, which were huge for us, and then him getting us on the cruise ships in the first place was Adam just taking the reins and making it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of what any group is too, is individual ownership and.
And that's one of the things that's always been great about this group in particular is everyone's always had a really well-defined role, and I just really appreciate that. You know.
Yeah.
Don't mind me.
No, it's cool. It's fun.
It's fine. So we all have stories of Home Free itself. We've had a lot of characters that have been in the band as well over all these years.
That's one of the best aspects of this whole family is the extended Home Free family and all the characters that have come into our lives via that. I mean, just all the people that have been in Home Free alone, like that's a giant
roster.
And you get psyched about, you know, how hard it was to find a bass, but along the way you worked with unbelievable basses.
The best of the
Literally
the best basses in acapella.
Every
All of
group
them.
is always looking for a good bass, and you guys had a who's who of like the basses. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Rob mentioned that. He said you couldn't believe how many awesome people we had come through.
It's crazy.
I mean, a few that weren't as awesome as well, but still, for the most part.
No, literally the best ones in all of acapella, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, Troy Horn, Chris Foss, Elliot
Elliot,
Robinson.
come on.
Eric Padno,
yeah.
Eric
fantastic.
Padno's such a good bass, and he's also hilarious.
Yeah. And I mean, then obviously you get the higher voices as well, just some unbelievable talent. But then, you know, on the crew side of things, some real interesting individuals.
I mean, obviously our mind goes to Johnny F. Right
Oh,
there.
he takes the
Johnny
cake.
is one of my favorite people ever.
Ever.
I mean, I was just telling a Johnny story the other day. We were on a Home Free gig.
And Johnny, for reference, was the lighting / sound guy over many, many years with Home Free.
Yeah,
Before the
he
sing
was
off a
kinda-
little bit afterwards, too, a couple tours.
Did whatever you needed, and sometimes we still use Johnny, you know, if we're doing like a big event up in the Midwest or something. But I was telling a story about we were walking through, it was like Seattle or Denver, or, you know, one of those cities with lax laws, and I looked up in the tree, and I saw pretty high up something. I didn't know what it was, but it looked like someone had just thrown something up there, and it had got tangled in the branches. And I knew how this would play out, so immediately I just nudged Johnny, and I point, and he goes, "I want that!" And about 10 minutes later, he had it, because he had climbed the tree, untangled some metal contraption that was up there, and it lived on the bus for about a week before he threw it away. But that was Johnny F for you, just...
My favorite story of Johnny is we were in, I think, New Mexico? Does that sound right?
Sure.
Sure, Utah, I don't know. And I wasn't there, but you guys went to a bar.
Arizona.
Oh,
Arizona.
yes.
And you went to the bar, and
Where is that?
It's called the Meat Rack.
Yep.
and if you got a tattoo of the meat rack, or it was a branding.
It's a
You got a
brand
brand. That
of
day
the
you got
owner's
free.
face.
Yeah, you got free entry or free drinks for life or something like that.
It's like you would think. It's like 50 cents off
It's
your
like
tab.
Mesa or something.
50
like-
cents off your tip.
Yeah, it's somewhere called the Meat Rack, and I can't remember where it is.
That's enough, though. You'll find it. Google
Yeah,
it.
if you look up the Meat Rack in Arizona, we can't be responsible for.
One of the
yeah.
gnarliest places I've ever been, but it's just so. But I will say also, when we go, there's nobody there. Literally, no one is in there.
Because it's pretty weird and creepy. But anyway, it's
But
right
the
up
brand-
Johnny's alley. And so, you know, we heard this story. It's like, I think Abe had told us, oh yeah, and if you get a brand of the owner's face, you get like 50 cents off your tab for life. We're like, who would do that?
Dude, when are you ever going to be back here?
Turns out Johnny F would do it, and he did do it. But, you know, I don't think that place is up to code in general. They're certainly not sanitizing the brand.
They didn't worry
And
about shaving
they
the
didn't
hair off
bother
his leg.
shaving his very hairy legs, so they just branded the hair into his skin, which promptly became very infected.
Yeah, and then Johnny also is a unique individual, so he didn't particularly care about taking care of it.
No.
We finally forced him to like go to the ER. We're like, dude, that's like getting bad. and it looks nothing like a face.
It's just a burn
It
mark
just
now.
looks almost like a giant birthmark.
Yeah, it's a birthmark.
On his leg now. So I don't even know if he, hopefully they have a record of it at the meat
No,
rack.
really,
because
this is his
visually,
face.
that is not going to get him any discount.
I want my 50 cents. Come on. You don't know what I went through.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Johnny F.
Johnny F. Oh yeah, I still love him.
But I mean, it's like you guys were working with Nate Stone before I even came in. He's
Who just tuned the piano?
he's a
Oh, did he?
home free fixture.
8 years? 9 years?
Yeah, just like
Well before I was
10 years.
involved. Like he was there before you too,
2011.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like already working with Home Free when I came in, so it would have been a long time ago.
2012. It was his run with Tui. That was the first time. 2012.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
when that's when he joined us, that Christmas run.
So yeah, I mean it's and then all the the wives, and now there's kids, and it's just like this family just keeps growing and growing and growing, and it's really fun. One of my fondest memories is when we all got together with the B group at your house to kind of rehearse and teach them, and it was like all of Home Free, the B group, and even a few like subs. So I mean, it was like a house full of just like acapella nerds.
It's a shame we
basically.
weren't recording that because it was fun.
And there was so much laughter. I mean, like
Yeah,
Pat
just all
Node
that.
trying to do the high falsetto thing.
Yes!
You remember like that? Yeah. You had a real Miss Piggy
So
approach.
much laughter. Just so much laughter over
Yeah.
it. Like that's the best part of this is every time we get together and rehearse or anything, it's like it's fun the whole time.
Yeah,
So much laughter.
for sure.
Yeah, it's a hell of a run. Yeah. So yeah, it's been that's just the first 14 years of the band. There's been 7-8 years of history since then, and another whoever knows how many to go after that.
Until we all die.
Yeah, I
Maybe
guess.
someone else will take it over at that point.
Yeah, sell
should.
it.
We
Because
should.
no matter what happens in the world, I can't imagine a place where we're not still doing this. Like
I'd be
it's
fine with Home Free outliving me. You might as well. That's our message. Just
Right.
never stop. Just
never-
keep going.
Yeah.
So.
Even when everyone tells you to stop, you keep going. You ignore them.
Yeah, you just ignore them. I don't care. I'm gonna keep going.
Well, thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun. It's really great reminiscing and going back over the stories.
Hey, thanks for starting the band.
Yeah.
And for keeping it going.
Keep the torch.
Thanks
Yeah.
for the gig.
Yeah.
One of the most tenacious people I've ever met in my entire life is Chris Rudd, because he just keeps going. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, just keep going.
It's like
I learned
John's
that from
infection.
Chris.
Keep going.
No matter
Keep
what
going.
you think, no matter what other people think, if you're enjoying it, keep going. Just keep going. It'll
That's
pay
right.
off. It'll pay dividends. Seriously, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my YouTube business is based off of the success of yours. Like,
Oh,
seriously, I'm
thanks.
like, Chris does it.
Chris is doing it.
He doesn't care if he just does it. He keeps going. Let me have that same sort of nonchalance about it. Let me just do it. I'm just gonna do it. Chris is doing it. I can do it too.
I gotta tell you, man, it's so fun just doing whatever the hell I want
Yeah.
all the time. Like, I'll do this thing. I'll do this thing. I don't
People
know.
support it too. It's
Yeah.
like just you keep and then every once in a while you hit a home run and you're like, I didn't see that coming. It's like all the Home Free's early successes, like Angels We've Heard All Night.
We never saw that coming.
We never saw that
Ooh.
coming. That we did that as an afterthought because we needed something extra, and you had the arrangement done.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Just
none
put
of
it on
us.
the Christmas CD. We need something
Yeah.
else. It's a good arrangement. Whatever.
Yeah, nobody was
It's not
excited
country.
about it. We were all just like, whatever. It's not country, no, but whatever. We like it. It's easy enough. We need one other music video.
And I had to convince you guys to do the music video for that because we were doing All Holy Night. Like, we'll just turn the camera around the pews. It'll take us an hour. Let's just knock it out.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
Like
And that
that you
was-
wore that hat.
And I wore that hat. Thank goodness.
And that was our first viral video.
Yeah, that had 600,000 or 700,000 views in a day.
Yeah.
Most. Yeah.
And all the arguments in the comments about you wearing a hat in
Yeah,
church, and that
right.
just drove the algorithm. And
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? All Holy Night wore the hat as well. Did not get nearly the same.
Yeah.
Like they'll
Well, 'cause
got
they
out of the
knew
system.
already,
Yeah.
right? They knew already.
They're gonna do it. It doesn't matter what I say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff. All right. Well, thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
And I'll see you again in 20 years for the 40-year reunion.
Right.
For the no holds barred.
When
celebration.
we're all gray haired, just like
Too late.
doing this again.
All right, I'll tell
No, I
them
mean your
now.
facial hair too.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Maybe I can grow a real beard by then.
Because that's the last thing to go. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't look like the Oak Ridge Boys guys by 20 years from now, I'm disappointed in you. It's too bad Adam and Rob and Matt, all 6 of us couldn't have been together.
We'll do that at some
One
point.
day.
You know,
Yeah.
that'll be for that one for sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool. That's a wrap.
Well, life's like a road that you travel on. There's one day here and the next day gone.